be.
Greetings, my little lovelies. I hope I find you all well again, and as usual, feeling diggity boo. Now, 3 marvelous new videos for you today. The first one is all about reincarnation. It's a very interesting one. The second one has been sent in to us from a very lovely woman from Norwich, and that involves a visitation, and that also is very interesting. And the third and final one is all about a staircase. Now you may be wondering, a staircase? Yes, my little lovelies, a staircase. Now, let's crack on, shall we? Barbro Karlan was born in Sweden in 1954. From the time she could talk, she began telling her parents strange stories about someone named Anne Frank. She even claimed that she was Anne Frank. She had nightmares of men kicking in the door of her home and taking her away. They'd keep her awake at night. Her parents were perplexed, not least because they had no idea Anne Frank was a real person. Now, Anne Frank died in 1945 in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp after Nazis discovered her and her family hiding in an attic in Amsterdam. They were trying to avoid persecution for being Jewish. Karlan's parents took her to Amsterdam when she was 10 years old. She quickly led them to Anne Frank's house with no directions. She correctly identified a spot on the wall where Anne Frank had hung photos of movie stars, but noted that the steps were different than she remembered them. All of this was enough to make her parents believe she really was the reincarnation of Anne Frank, and she's been writing books about her experiences ever since. Karlan worked as a mounted policewoman in Sweden until 1993. She then trained horses and riders and competed internationally in dressage. She moved to California in 1999. She now lives in North Carolina and works as an education manager at the Tryon International Equestrian Center. In 2010, my son had a very serious motorbike accident. He was stationary at a set of lights. As he pulled away, a car coming in the opposite direction swerved and hit him. He knew at this time this was going to cause him injuries. As he was hit, he catapulted into the air. He rolled himself into a ball as the impact was horrific. He was supposed to have been airlifted to hospital, but when he was examined, his injuries were bad. Facial injuries, broken toes, his pelvis was split and pushed up into his diaphragm, causing internal bleeding. His ligaments in his legs were shattered also. They expected the worst and prepared me, his mother, and his wife for the worst. For the first time in my life, I prayed to God. I couldn't lose my son. Early hours in the morning, they operated. I was told by the surgeon that it was touch and go. My son rang me the following morning and was crying down the phone. He said, "Mum, when I came round, the room was full of mist and there was a beautiful lady with blue eyes smiling down at me." He said he was in so much pain and told the lady to get off his legs as he felt pressure on his lower body. The lady smiled and left. He told the nurses of his experience and she said, "Yes, anesthetics do play with your mind." He said to me, "Mum, this lady knew me. I think it was my nan." She passed away when he was 9 months old, and as we lived abroad, he never got to see her. I immediately left work and grabbed 2 photos and went to the hospital. The first photo was of my mum, her 3 sisters, and 2 brothers. He pointed straight away to my mum. He said this lady had the most beautiful kind smile and blue eyes, and was wearing a suit the same colour as her eyes. I produced the next picture, which was of my wedding. The colour drained from his face. He pointed and said, "That's her, and that's what she was wearing." Wendy concludes, "I now believe my mum was sent from God to help him recover." And he did recover. What do we think of that, folks? As usual, let us know. Three mysteries surround a spiral staircase in the Loretto Chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The identity of its builder, the type of wood used, and also the physics of its construction. When the Loretto Chapel was completed in 1878, there was no way to access the choir loft, 22 feet above. Carpenters were called in to address the problem. They all concluded that access to the loft would have to be via ladder, as a staircase would interfere with the interior space of this very small chapel. Legend says that to find the solution to the seating problem, the sisters of the chapel made prayer to Saint Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters. On the 9th and final day of prayer, a man appeared at the chapel with a donkey and a toolbox, looking for work. Months later, the elegant circular staircase was completed, but the carpenter disappeared without pay or thanks. After searching for him and even running an ad in the local paper, they found no trace of him. Some concluded that he was Saint Joseph himself, having come in answer to the sisters' prayers. The stairway's carpenter, whoever he was, built a fantastic structure. The design was innovative for the time, and some of the design considerations still perplex experts to this very day. The staircase has two 360-degree turns and no visible means of support. I shall say that again. No visible means of support. It is said that the staircase was built without nails, only wooden pegs. Questions also surround the number of stair risers relative to the height of the choir loft and about the types of wood and other materials used in the stairway's construction. Over the years, many people have flocked to the Loretto Chapel to see this miraculous staircase. The staircase has been the subject of many articles, TV specials and movies, including Unsolved Mysteries and a full-length movie entitled The Staircase, starring William Peterson and Barbara Hershey. Very interesting, my little lovelies. What do you make of that? Welcome back, my little lovelies. I hope you enjoyed them. As usual, let us know your thoughts. Keep everything nice and clean and tickety-boo, and your comments will be let through. Look at that, it rhymed. I'm a poet and I don't even know it. Right. I'm happy to report that 3 weeks ago I made an appointment for a haircut. It takes 3 weeks to actually get an appointment here because of the lockdown. Anyway, I'm happy to report that by the next time you see me, I should be looking half human. Right. That's enough from me. Until next time, my little lovelies, take care and stay safe. Ta-ta, my little lovelies. Ta-ta.